There's a kind of power that doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't wait for permission. But when a man walks into the room with it, you feel it. You can't explain it, you just know. This is someone who's already decided, not hoping, not guessing, but acting as if the outcome is already secured. Have you ever met someone like that? He's not in a rush. He doesn't argue. He doesn't over-explain. He just moves, like reality is bending to meet him halfway. That's not magic. That's a mindset. Act as if everything always works out. Today, we're not talking about cheap motivation. We're not selling you positive thinking dressed in pretty words. We're going deeper into the Stoic art of walking through storms with calm certainty, of building identity through action, not feeling, of commanding reality by mastering your own mind. This isn't new. Marcus Aurelius lived it. Epictetus taught it. And now, you'll learn to carry yourself like the outcome is already done, not because you're delusional, but because calm belief is the first step toward real power. So, act as if everything is already falling into place. Because if you can't trust your path when it's unclear, you're not ready to lead when it is. This is the beginning not of a dream, but of a man who no longer needs the world's permission to become who he already is. You've probably heard it before. Have faith. Stay positive. Just believe it'll all work out. But let me ask you this. What if belief isn't just something you feel? What if belief is something you do? Not blind optimism, not emotional delusion, but a deliberate, disciplined form of faith, the kind built on logic, forged by repetition, and sharpened through adversity. This is what the Stoics understood centuries before modern psychology caught up. They didn't sit around hoping things would go well. They prepared for the worst, and then chose to act as if they would rise through anything. Marcus Aurelius, facing plagues, betrayal, and the weight of an empire, didn't write down prayers. He wrote down principles. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. He wasn't romanticizing the suffering. He was redefining it as fuel. And that's the key. You see, real belief is not a soft thing. It's a weapon. And you either wield it, or it's wielded against you. Every day, life throws chaos your way. Delays, detours, failures, rejections. And in those moments, most people shrink. They say, I'll believe when I see results. But the Stoic says, I'll see results because I believe. Because belief shapes action, and action shapes outcome. This is rational faith, the belief that while you don't control what happens, you do control how you interpret it. And through that, you influence what happens next. That's not fantasy. That's the foundation of mental dominance. Let's break it down. When you walk into a situation assuming it will destroy you, your posture shifts, your tone shrinks, your energy hesitates. You project fear, and fear attracts more of what you fear. But when you walk in assuming this too will be used, that the pain has a place, that the silence has meaning, that the failure is just resistance training, suddenly you move differently. You don't react, you respond. You lead. Even if the world hasn't given you a reason to believe yet, you create that reason by how you move. That is the essence of this chapter. You must act as if the outcome is already working in your favor. Now, let me be clear. This is not denial. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is not pretending that everything is easy. It's the opposite. It's seeing the full weight of the storm and choosing to remain grounded anyway. It's watching the evidence pile up against you and still moving as if the path is opening. It's losing what you thought you couldn't live without and discovering you're still breathing, still building, still walking. That is the warrior's assumption, and it's one of the most powerful tools a man can master. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Which means this: you don't need better conditions, you need a better lens. And that lens is forged by repetition. So, here's the truth no one wants to admit. Most people don't act like things will work out because they haven't trained their mind to expect anything better. They wake up rehearsing disaster. They scroll through comparison. They speak weakness before they've even left the house. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But you're here because something inside you is done with that cycle. You're here because you're ready to move differently, to walk like it's already done, not to fake it, but to forge it, action by action, thought by thought, moment by moment. So say this to yourself right now: I walk in rational faith. I do not wait for evidence. I act as if the outcome is already working in my favor, because that's how I lead my life. This is not fantasy. This is self-discipline at the highest level. This is Stoicism in motion. Let's move forward, deeper into how this works biologically, because this isn't just philosophy, it's science. And once you understand how your brain responds to assumption, you'll realize your life doesn't reflect what's true, it reflects what you believe. You are not just what you think, you are what you rehearse. And the most powerful force shaping your life is not your past, not your talent, not your potential. It's the dominant narrative playing in the background of your mind every single day. Here's the science behind it. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It filters billions of data points every second, but it only shows you what it thinks is relevant. And what does it consider relevant? Whatever you repeat, whatever belief you feed it, whatever emotion you reinforce, whatever story you keep telling yourself, not necessarily what's true, but what's familiar. That's why people who say, "Nothing ever works out for me," keep finding evidence of failure, not because the world hates them, but because their brain is trained to look for proof that their doubt is right. It literally filters out opportunities. It ignores signals of change. It dismisses moments of growth because those things don't match the story. But here's the good news: that filter can be rewritten. And the tool is assumption. When you assume things are working in your favor, your brain starts paying attention to alignment, to support, to moments of luck, to patterns of growth. And here's the catch: even when those things are small, your mind amplifies them because it thinks, "This is what we believe now." That's called neuroplasticity, your brain wiring itself in the direction of your dominant thoughts. And when those thoughts are calm, focused, rooted in purpose, you don't just change your mindset, you change your default identity. Let me give you an example. Let's say you wake up today and say, "Everything is working out for me. Even this setback is part of it." You repeat that. You carry that into your meetings, your silence, your habits. You don't just say it, you move like it. What happens? You become more patient in the unknown. You stop chasing frantic proof. You notice things others miss. And slowly, your nervous system adjusts to certainty, not panic. That's not delusion, that's biological reconditioning. This is why Stoicism aligns so well with modern science. Because the Stoics didn't just philosophize, they trained. They repeated truths aloud. They wrote them down. They meditated on their principles daily until those ideas weren't just written in ink, they were etched into their nervous system. Marcus Aurelius journaled like this every day, not to post it online, but to reprogram his brain against fear, ego, and despair. Seneca wrote letters, not to flatter, but to sharpen clarity. Epictetus gave his students daily disciplines because he knew that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And you have the same power right now, in this moment. You can start feeding your subconscious a new signal, not a motivational slogan, but a philosophical command. Even in the silence, something is building. Even in the chaos, I stay composed. Even in the doubt, I carry myself as if it's done. You repeat that. You move like that. You breathe like that. And eventually, your brain believes you. Your posture shifts. Your voice deepens. And your presence begins to speak louder than your words. Because the truth is this: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you embody. So start embodying the man who's already there, not because you've seen the results, but because you've decided to become the cause of them. There's a myth that needs to die, the myth that successful men waited to feel ready, waited for permission, waited for applause, clarity, or some perfect signal from the universe to begin. They didn't. They moved. Let's go back to Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb on the first try, or the 10th, or even the 100th. He tried over 10,000 times. And when asked how he endured failure, he simply said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not just perseverance. That's a man who moved as if success was already his and the path was simply a matter of discovery. Think about that. He didn't need confirmation. He didn't need statistics. He decided that it was possible and then lived like it was inevitable. This is the Stoic mindset in action, not fantasy, but assumption with discipline. Henry Ford's same story. When he dreamed of building a car for the common man, everyone laughed. Investors doubted him. Engineers told him it couldn't be done. You know what he did? He didn't argue. He didn't try to prove them wrong with words. He built factories. Because when your belief is rooted deep, you don't explain it, you build it. This is the trait you'll find in every man who reshaped history. They moved like it was already real, and the world eventually adjusted to match their certainty, not because the world is kind, but because the world respects those who don't flinch. Let me ask you, how many times have you paused because things weren't clear yet? How many dreams have you delayed waiting for the right time? How many moments have you surrendered to hesitation because you didn't see results yet? That's the trap, waiting for proof before you move. But the Stoic doesn't wait. He moves. He prepares. He builds not because he's reckless, but because he's anchored in purpose. That's what made Marcus Aurelius powerful, not his crown, not his armies. His strength came from the invisible framework of values he held, even when the empire trembled beneath him. That's the invitation for you now, to stop asking, "Is it working?" and start declaring, "I am already walking the path." To stop negotiating with your doubts and start moving like your outcome is a matter of time, not permission. Because here's the truth: the scoreboard does not measure spirit. It does not track intention. Only you know the depth of your decision. And once that decision is final, you don't hesitate. You don't negotiate. You simply move like a man who already knows how it ends. Here's the law no one talks about. You are always becoming someone. With every thought, every action, every habit, you are rehearsing a role. The only question is, are you rehearsing the man you want to be, or the one you say you're done being? Let that land. Because most men will say they want confidence, but act like self-doubt. They want discipline, but act like distraction. They want peace, but act like panic, and then wonder why the change never comes. But the Stoic, he sees through the illusion. He knows identity is not declared. It is demonstrated. You don't become strong by wanting to be strong. You become strong by acting like it, especially when it's hard. You don't become calm by reading about peace. You become calm when you breathe evenly during the storm, not once, but every time. This is the forgotten art of self-transformation. Act like the man you're becoming long before anyone believes you, especially before you fully believe you. It's not faking. It's not pretending. It's training. Every behavior is a vote for the identity you're building. So ask yourself, when you speak, are you speaking like the man you're becoming? When you move, are you moving like he would? When you're alone, especially when no one is watching, do your actions match your new direction? If not, that's your work. Because here's the truth the Stoics understood long ago. You don't rise to your dreams, you fall to your rituals. And rituals, repeated acts of discipline, clarity, silence build the spine of the new you. Let me be even clearer. If you want to be respected, start carrying yourself with quiet authority, even if no one notices yet. If you want to be trusted, start keeping promises to yourself in private. If you want power, start moving as if your time is precious, your words are few, and your energy is sacred. And if the results haven't shown up yet, good. That's when it matters most, because anyone can act successful after the win. But the one who acts like it before he becomes the cause of the win. Epictetus taught his students, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. In other words, don't talk about who you're becoming, become him. Not in the comments, not on stage, but in the quiet moments where reputation means nothing, but integrity means everything. And over time, your mind catches up. Your nervous system aligns, and the world begins to reflect what you've already accepted as law. That's how transformation happens. It's not a spark, it's a ritual. It's who you choose to be, not once, but daily. Every man who has ever built something great had a moment of no return, a moment where he said, "This is it. I'm done negotiating with my old self." Not next week. Not when it's convenient, now. This chapter isn't about motivation. This is about destruction, the strategic destruction of everything in you that keeps pulling you back to comfort, to doubt, to excuses, to who you used to be. Because as long as the bridge exists, you'll keep crossing back when things get hard. As long as the backup plan survives, you'll never commit to the real one. As long as part of you still entertains the old story, you can't fully embody the new one. Let's say this plainly, you cannot serve two identities. The man you were and the man you are becoming cannot coexist. One of them has to die. And yes, that death is painful. It means deleting distractions, cutting ties, clearing out the physical, digital, and mental clutter that keeps you orbiting the same mediocre pattern. It means silencing the inner voice that says, just this once, it's okay to break your word. You can start again next month. No, that voice dies here. The Stoics had a word for this decisiveness, not as a feeling, but as a standard. Marcus Aurelius didn't beg for the empire to change. He stood tall inside himself, and the empire bent to his posture. Epictetus wasn't born free, but he chose to live free within. They didn't keep back doors open. They closed them and locked in the version of themselves they chose to become. So the question is, what are you still keeping that belongs to a man you say you've outgrown? Is it the apps, the friends, the habits you justify with clever excuses? Be honest. Because transformation is not made in speeches, it's made in sacrifice. Burning the bridge doesn't mean being reckless. It means being final in decision, final in posture, final in the kind of man you allow to walk out the door every morning. Charles Schwab didn't rise in Carnegie's steel by being the smartest man in the room. He rose because he carried himself like a man already in command before anyone gave him the title. He didn't play both sides, he committed. And that commitment made others adjust to his presence. You want that kind of energy? You need one thing, a non-negotiable decision. So say it now, Aloud if you have to. I do not retreat. I do not delay. I do not revisit old versions of myself. The bridge is gone. The fire is lit, and the only direction is forward. Say it again until your nervous system gets the message. There is no going back. Now, this is where the real shift begins. The man who burned the bridge doesn't hope he'll stay the course. He knows he will, because there's no path left to run to accept the one he's meant to walk. You've burned the bridge. You've walked away from who you used to be. You've started acting like the man you're becoming. But now, a harder question rises quietly in the dark. Who still walks beside you, that keeps pulling you back into the fire you just escaped? Because no matter how much you change, if the people around you are still committed to your old version, you'll always be tempted to revisit it. Here's the truth. Your environment is not neutral. Your circle doesn't just influence you, it sculpts you. Every conversation, every shared silence, every subtle energy exchange is either sharpening your edge or dulling your purpose. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology caught up. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Translation: surround yourself with fire, or get burned by mediocrity. And this is the chapter most men avoid, because it demands that you confront the people you've grown used to. Friends who mean well, voices that are familiar, relationships that once matched your past identity, but now stand as anchors. They don't say it directly, but their energy whispers. Don't change too fast. Don't outgrow us. Don't make us uncomfortable by becoming someone we've never met. But you didn't change to make them feel safe. You changed because you were done living like a leaf in the wind. So now the question becomes, are you willing to protect your progress by protecting your proximity? This is the power of the mastermind, a concept Napoleon Hill wrote about, but the Stoics lived out the idea that when aligned minds unite, they multiply direction, accelerate clarity, and fortify each other's strength. You don't need a crowd, you need alignment. Just one man, one voice in your circle who speaks with vision, moves with discipline, and doesn't flinch when the world gets loud is worth more than 10 companions who only know how to scroll gossip or escape. Because energy is contagious, and the longer you stay in the presence of softness, the harder it becomes to live with fire. So build a circle that holds you accountable, not one that tolerates your excuses. Build a space where excellence is the default, not the exception. Build friendships where silence is sacred, but purpose is louder. And if you don't have that circle yet, then be it. Be the one who speaks clarity, who walks with posture, who lives like his mission matters. Because when you become that man, those meant to walk with, you'll rise to meet you. And those who aren't ready will quietly fall away. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. And alignment is what makes greatness inevitable, because your circle doesn't just reflect who you are, it regulates who you become. So be ruthless with your environment. It's not optional. It's either feeding your fire or slowly putting it out. Pause. And when that fire is lit, there's one more thing you need to keep it alive, not motivation, not hype, but something deeper, built brick by brick from the inside out. Let's talk about that. You've heard the truth not just with your ears, but with something deeper, something inside you that's been silent for too long, finally stirring again. Because this wasn't just another message. This wasn't just motivation. This was a recalibration of your identity, your mindset, your way of being in the world. You now know you don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't even need proof. You need one thing, a decision. A decision to act like the outcome is already yours, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Because when you burn the bridge, when you walk with posture, when you protect your circle, and when your daily actions begin to reflect the man you claim to be, the world has no choice but to adapt, not because it's kind, but because it respects what is unshakable. So now you walk differently. You move through your day not with frantic noise, but with quiet certainty. You speak less. You act more. You don't chase. You command not others, but yourself. And when doubt comes back, because it always does, you don't fight it with hype. You drown it in repetition, with standards, with rituals, with that voice inside you that says, "This is who I am now. This is what I do. This is already done." You don't need to see it yet. You just need to be it until the world catches up. So take this with you. Everything is working out for me not because it has to, but because I move like it already is. Now breathe, reset, and the next time you step forward, do it like a man who no longer hopes the path will appear, but one who knows he is the path.